Mr. Trump, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you.
The stock market has dropped dramatically in recent days, in large part because of fears about the Chinese economy. What would President Trump do about the markets?
Well, if they would have been listening to me over the last 6 years, we are so tied into China that when China goes bad, we go bad. We're just tied in, and we're tied into their advantage, not to our advantage. What we have to do is be smart. They want to, as you know, they want to continue to devalue their currency in order to devalue out. But what that's doing, it's stopping our companies from being able to compete with China and other places, including Japan, which, by the way, is doing big devaluations. Not good for us. Anytime you see these countries devaluing their currency, that's a bad thing for us. And China wants to do that now again to get itself out of a problem.
But as president, you said the other day that you would impose a 45% tariff on all Chinese goods coming into this country. Wouldn't that both increase the price of these goods to American consumers and weaken the Chinese economy even more?
Chris, I didn't say I was going to do it. I told them, and I would say to them very strongly, if you don't start living by the rules, they're not living by the rules. What they're doing with their devaluations is a disgrace to us. And by the way, China's not the only one. But China is the worst abuser of all, and they have to stop doing it. And if they don't do that, we have tremendous power over China. And, you know, the Obama administration doesn't understand that. We have tremendous power, economic power over China, because once that stops, they have a depression, the likes of which you have never seen. So we have a lot of power.
Why should Republican voters in Iowa, more than half of whom say that they're either evangelicals or born-again Christians, why should they choose you over Ted Cruz?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have formed a great bond in Iowa. I'm doing very well with the evangelicals. I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. I have a great bond with the evangelicals, and by the way, with the Tea Parties, and you see that in your polls. I'm doing very well with them.
Why should they pick you over Cruz?
Because I think that I will be much better on illegal immigration. I will be much better on security. I will be much better on the military. I will be much better on the economy. I mean, the economy is my thing.
Let me ask you about immigration, because Cruz says that he's tougher than you when it comes to immigration. Your policy is you want to deport all of the illegals out and then let what you call the good ones back in. He says if you're deported, you never get back in.
He's changed. What he's done is he's come. He also said the other day for the first time, we have to build a wall. We have to build a wall. He never talked about building a wall.
He campaigned on that in 2012.
I don't know, 2012. I can tell you for this whole cycle, he just mentioned it 3 days ago. Look, I'm going to build a wall. We're going to have a strong border. We're going to get people out. And, you know, when you start the process, everyone else leaves. The good ones, they will go through a process like everyone else, and they'll come in, but they have to come in legally. Not citizenship, but they have to come in legally. That's much tougher than Ted. Ted was actually weak on illegal immigration, and that's why he and Rubio have been fighting who was stronger. But they were both weak on it, actually. Nobody can compete with me on illegal immigration. Nobody.
Now, there's also the question which you have raised in the last few days about whether or not Ted Cruz is a natural-born American citizen.
I didn't raise it. The Washington Post raised it. They asked me a question. I said, I really don't know. I know he was born in Canada. I think he was a Canadian citizen, along with maybe he had a joint, but he was a Canadian citizen.
Joint American and Canadian.
He had a joint citizenship. And what I told Ted to do is go into court for declaratory judgment, because, you know, you can't run. I'm talking about from his standpoint, not from my. I did not bring this up. Washington Post brought it up.
I know, but people say you're trolling him, and you're under the guise of helping him, you're sticking in the knife.
No, I'm not. What he should do is ask for declaratory judgment, because you know what?
But he says it's not an issue, and in fact, when you raised it, he posted a video of the Fonz jumping the shark.
Okay, that's just games. Look, that's just games.
I mean, he's kind of laughing at it.
Chris, he's not laughing. He's taking it very seriously. He should take it very seriously. And I don't want, you know what? I think I'm going to win. I don't want to beat him this way. I'm just saying, in my opinion, and you've already seen it, the Democrats are going to bring a lawsuit. If it's Ted, the Democrats are going to bring a lawsuit. He's got to have this thing worked out.
Honestly, do you have any doubts that Ted Cruz is a natural-born American?
I don't know. I really don't know. It depends. Does natural-born mean born to the land, meaning born on the land? In that case, he's not. But nobody knows what it means. And it hasn't been adjudicated, and it hasn't gone to the Supreme Court. And I'm only saying this, and I speak well of Ted. I'm only saying that Ted has to get this problem solved, because if he's running against a Democrat and they bring a lawsuit, he's got a hell of a thing over his head.
President Obama is making a big push about gun control. You said the other day that pretty soon we're not going to be able to get guns, and the president responded that that's all a conspiracy.
Contrary to claims of some presidential candidates apparently before this meeting, this is not a plot to take away everybody's guns.
Your reaction?
So President Obama has been hitting the Second Amendment, and he would like to hit it very hard. Number one, you shouldn't do it through executive order. You should get together with the Republicans and the Democrats and work something out. And that's the way it's supposed to be done, not by the signing of an executive order. Now, he's done executive orders. He's done it on the border. He's done it all over the place. I mean, I don't think, does he meet with anybody anymore? Or he doesn't sign executive orders. The one on the border was just overturned, and who knows what's going to happen, but it's a big legal mess. But you got to get the people in a room, and you got to talk to them and cajole them and see if you can do something. So I have a real problem with the way it's done, and I have a real problem anytime you start knocking and taking chunks out of the Second Amendment. If people had guns in California when these two horrible people that were married, however, whoever was radicalized first, nobody knows, but they were both radical, obviously, in the end, had people in that room had guns, a couple of them, it would have been a totally different story. In Paris, as an example, use Paris. So in Paris, the toughest gun laws, they say, in the world, or just about. France, the toughest gun laws in the world. All of these people, 130 people killed, had people in those rooms in Paris when they were being shot. No guns on the good guys' side. Had there been guns, there would have been shooting, and they would have been gone, and you know what? It would have been a much smaller tragedy than it turned out to be.
This week, you released a short video, once again hitting Bill Clinton on his personal problems. Here it is.
Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights, once and for all. Let's keep fighting for opportunity and dignity.
First of all, you put Bill Cosby in there, and you have compared Bill Clinton's problems to Bill Cosby's.
No, I'm not doing that. I mean, that's really up to the public.
Well,
it's up to
you
Bill.
have mentioned them
It's up
both
to
in the
Hillary.
same sentence, and the reason I ask is...
I mean, it's not up to me.
As inappropriate as his relationship with Monica Lewinsky may have been since she was an intern...
Well, you're not talking about Monica, you're talking about many.
It was consensual, Clinton and Monica.
You're talking about many. I mean, if you read the book has other ones that were really horrible. You have one being accusing of rape and other things. He was impeached. He lost his law license, couldn't practice law. He had to pay a massive fine or a massive amount of money to, whether it's Paula Jones, whoever, and this was all done in the White House. A lot of this was done in the White House. Not a good situation. Now, had she not mentioned about penchant for sexism to me, penchant, I have a penchant for sexism, I have more respect for women than Hillary Clinton has. I have more respect than Hillary Clinton, okay? I will take care of this country far better than Hillary. So I thought it was appropriate. I mean, to be honest, I thought it was appropriate. He's campaigning for the wife. She said I had a penchant for sexism, which I don't. But that's what she said.
Now,
she made the statement.
A lot of Republican officials, including a lot of Republican women, say this is going to backfire, that you're only going to make her more popular. Once again, she's the victim, that is going to turn off...
No. Let me tell you, she's not a victim. She was an enabler. She
was an enabler?
She worked with him. I mean, some of the women have been totally destroyed. Some of these women have been destroyed. And Hillary worked with him. I mean, there's no feeling sorry for Hillary in this situation. And all you have to do is look at some of the facts and look at some of the settlements. There's no feeling sorry for her.
Clinton has refused to respond to your statements, saying she's made a New Year's resolution. Here it is.
I'm going to let him live in his alternative reality, and I'm not going to respond.
Your reaction?
Well, I can tell you right now, during the debate, the Democrat debate, even though they call it the Democratic debate, it really is the Democrat debate. Then she brought the sexism into it, penchant for, and I said, what's going on over here? I mean, and then her husband says, I'm going out to, he's going to go out to campaign. So with all of that happening, I think he's fair game. And I would say 95% of the people that have looked at it, including the liberal press, has agreed with me.
In the time we have left, let's do a lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers. North Korea tested a nuclear weapon this week. They say it was a hydrogen bomb. What would President Trump do about North Korea?
I think North Korea is a disgrace. I've been saying, in fact, I've told you a long time ago, they better start looking at that. The Iran deal was one of the worst deals I've ever seen, with $150 billion and everything else. But at least right now, they're going to have one soon, by the way, because of this stupid agreement. But at least right now, they don't have one. North Korea has very dangerous weapons of some sort.
So
they don't know
do?
exactly what. I would get China, and I would say, get in there and straighten it out. You better straighten it out. And if you don't straighten it out, we're going to have trouble, because we have power over China. We have trade power over China. And Obama doesn't understand. He's not a business person.
There have been several domestic terror incidents recently. There were 2 refugees who were arrested for trying to support ISIS in Syria. There was a cop who was shot in Philly, and the person who shot him said he was doing it out of his allegiance to ISIS.
We have to be very strong. We have to be very... Look, if we're not vigilant in this country, we're not going to have a country left. You look at what's happening in Brussels, and you look at what's happening in Germany, and you look at what's happening in Paris, and so many places. We have to be vigilant.
We hear about a Bush doctrine and an Obama doctrine. Is there a Trump doctrine on foreign policy?
Yeah.
Is there a guiding philosophy?
Yeah. Tough and smart and vigilant. We have to see what's going on. We don't. We have to be respected, because right now, of course, we're not respected by anybody. And other people, I have to tell you, in terms of foreign policy, we're losing a fortune. Other people have to pay up. When we take care of South Korea militarily, when we take care of Germany and all these, many people don't even know this, but when we're protecting all of these countries, when we're protecting Saudi Arabia, as an example, Saudi Arabia was making $1 billion a day. Now it's less because of the oil, but they're still making plenty, okay? They got to pay up. I mean, we're protecting them. They got to pay up. I didn't like what they did, by the way. I thought what they did was not good, all of the executions. But when Saudi Arabia is making $1 billion a day, and we get peanuts every time they have a problem, we have to go and defend them. Not going to work that way. It's not going to work that way. They have to pay up.
You have had remarkable success as a Republican candidate. Lord knows you surprised me. But there are people who say if you should actually become the nominee and be in the general election, that you're going to have problems. You're going to have to reach out to Hispanics, to minorities, to women, to independents, that you're going to have to move to the center, and you're going to have to tone it down.
Well, look, all I can tell you is what I can tell you. You said I wouldn't run. Most people, in fact, you said, I don't want him on this program because he's not going to run. Okay, so I ran.
I said,
not only did I
run,
not only did I run, I've got 42% now in the latest poll, and other people have 12 and 2 and 1 and everything else. Okay, so I ran, I'm doing well.
It's not attractive to say, I told you so, Mr. Trump.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But I think I'm going to do very well. If it's Hillary, and it shouldn't be Hillary because of what she did with emails. I mean, frankly, it shouldn't be. She shouldn't be allowed to run. I think I'm going to do very well. Recent polls have shown that I'm going to do very well. And a lot of people are saying that if it's Trump against Hillary, it's going to be the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. And those extra people, those people that have never been part of the process before, are doing it because they're going to vote for Trump. So I think we're going to do very well.
Mr. Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.